Welcome back everybody to Tony's Top Tips Workshop. Yeah, as I said in the previous videos that I've been doing, you have to bear with me on making the videos. We are having quite a lot of work done in the house, so I can't get away from that in order to make the videos. But just please, my subscribers, bear with me. Today's video is about I'd had some really friends requests, really, from not friends from Facebook, friends requests me, as regards doing drawings. They wanted some banners doing, well, not banners, but sort of within my scope of my CNC downstairs. And I thought, well, how can you do that on a my 4040 CNC, or my large CNC for that matter of fact? And I thought I might just do this as a project anyway. To cut a long story short, I've come up with an idea, and I am going to go down to the workshop and try it out. It's unknown territory for me. I've set about designing and printing. You can hear the printer going in the background. I've designed what would be a spring-loaded pen holder for the 4040, and whether it'll work, I've no idea. I don't even know the software that I'm going to use. And initially, it's to do somebody's family tree. That's what it's for. I'll tell you what it's for. But obviously, in order to do a family tree, there's lines and there's printing, there's letters and what have you. So I've got the actual family tree print out, but she wants it doing really neat, and I thought, yeah, but she wants it on like something like 300 by 300 or 350, depending on the shape and the size of the family tree. So I thought, what's the best way to do that? So I had to design a pen holder, spring-loaded pen holder, and you can just see on the screen outside of me, that's just the pen slide, and that is it. Now, you remember, I have on my machine, I use the Rotozip. Okay, so that boss there fits in the Rotozip. Okay, let me move a bit closer. That fits in the Rotozip, so it just clamps in. That's not a problem. Okay, that's the spring-loaded unit. Okay, this is 6mm brass rod. Okay, so I've had to do all the printing and tolerances so that moves up and down this top boss here. That's this one, and you can see they have little brass inserts in, and so does the spring-loaded slide. That has little brass inserts in, and a 3mm grub screw. Okay, now I'll show you why that is in a moment. And then I designed the pen holders, or the pen slides. Okay, now I thought you want to be able to use different pens, so what I decided on doing was doing a pen holder for each pen that I have. Okay, I have some different coloured ones. The green ones for a pencil, the black ones for a Sharpie. Okay, now these the pens just slide in, okay, like that, and then there's again a little 3mm grub screw and a brass insert that's put in with the soldering iron. Okay, and you put that in, tighten it up, and that just stops your pen from moving. Okay, this then, if I show you this swivels round, you see, at the moment, because that grub screw is not tight. But you can imagine you want to put a pen in. Okay, just let me swivel you down a bit more. Right. So got your pen set in there, that just drops in. Okay, swivel that round, and all you do is just make sure that is touching the pen. You don't have to spring load it because you do that on the CNC. Tighten that up. Okay, so that's free, it's just resting on it. But when you set the pen on the CNC, you'll set a little bit of spring tension on it. Okay, whether it'll work, I've no idea. It's just my first attempt designing something, and so if I want to change to a Sharpie, I would undo that, twist it away, take the pen out, get the Sharpie one. Okay, pop that in, slide that up a bit more, there we go, round, down, tighten up. Okay, and then you'd have a little bit, you put it down so it's touching like that, just touching, and then you can just use a little bit of spring loaded on the thing. Pencil, put your pencil in, pick a flat, and I've tried this, it fits most pencils. That holds that in there, that's quite safe. Pop that in there, slide this up a bit more, there you go, pencil. Okay, pretty simple design as such. The problem that I'm getting, I'll just take this out and I'll show you. The problem that I'm getting with is the tolerances between the outer bar of this and the inner bar of that. Now I have a seam in there, so you've got to make sure, it might be a little bit tight, but you have to take the seam off because that is just slightly proud. But you can't afford to have too much play in that. Okay, because what happens is you'll get your, in fact I'll show you, I'll turn you around and show you, you'll see that when that's working, if you've a lot of play in this slide, what happens is your pen will be dragged whichever way it's going to the far side of that. You can see that, just a slight bit of movement. So what I'm hoping that it highlights this, and then I can sort of sort this out then by printing some more and then fine-tuning them to actually fit, so that the work not too tight, because obviously they've got to work on the spring load, but enough that it stops that play from side to side. I'll lubricate it on inside. I've got some special grease for it, for plastic. It doesn't affect it or deteriorate it. So that's what I'm hoping. Now I haven't seen anything out there that you can buy that you can put in. You know, you can get diamond drag bits for engraving. Whether that works in a similar way, I don't know, but the only difference is that if I were using the if I wasn't using the rotor zip, then I'd just print a boss that matches whatever unit you've got on your Z-axis, your clamp system, whether it's a 3D printed one or whether it's the originals, and you just do it accordingly. I am going to take you down to the workshop and show you this working, fingers crossed, and I have not tried this. My design seems to work here, but it will highlight problems that I have. And the other thing is actually, what software do I use? I use Vectrix Sphere, so I've got to sort of pick in a program or part of that program, what I'm going to do with it, to try and get the best results from this. I mean, if anybody knows any other way of doing it, then please let me know in the description, comment section, and I'll look into it. what I'm going to do is in Aspire in the software program, to create the toolpath, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use probably I'll use a profile. That's what I'll do. I'll use a profile, and you can either select outside line, inside line, or on line, and I'm going to do it on the line. If I want if you're using it on the line with a Sharpie, you're going to reduce what size you're doing it, so I'd probably do it on the outside. But this is just testing at the moment, because I have to get it right in order to do what I've been asked to do. I'm a great believer in trying to make your machine do something that it's not really meant to do in that, as long as it's done safely. Like this, I mean, I've not seen anybody using the 4040 for doing pens, you know, spring-loaded pen units. It might not work, it might have hiccups, it might work first time, I have no idea. But that's what I'm going to do to create the toolpath. I don't use a computer to send it to the machine. I always use my offline controller and my MPG to move it about. But that's what I'm going to do, and by probably setting me depth on the, I'll go through it more on the PC in the workshop, but I'll probably set the depth probably about 0.2, which will just give it from surface, on the surface it'll just give it a little bit of pressure. So it'll move. If I set the pen nib level with the surface of the card, then obviously it'll move down 0.2. okay, that'll give you probably a little, just enough spring load. You don't have to set any spring load really on the initial startup, but yeah, we'll see what happens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it down in workshop now, and I'm going to show you if this thing works. Fingers crossed, I hope it does, because I'm halfway there then and then it's a lot of testing before I do the final one, because she sent me some really nice watermark paper and I am not gonna mess that up. So what we do, get down into the workshop, let's get cracking. See you in a minute. Right, here we are in workshop now. I explained what I wanted to do upstairs, and to the fact that this is unknown territory for me. I'd thought about it for a while. I'd been asked for somebody if I could do drawings of, just line drawings of various items, and I said, well, I've no idea. I know you can do it on a CNC, but you know how you would do that, you need a pen holder and what have you. Well, as I showed you upstairs, I set to and design something. I will explain that there are still some modifications that need doing to it. It works. I will show you in a moment. I've set it up and it works a treat, but there is a little bit too much play for my liking in the actual pen holder that slides up and down with inside the boss. Now we know it's 3D printed, but to get those tolerances, you can print something and it's fine, print it again and that tolerance can be a little bit out, and I'll explain to you in a minute, and I'll actually show you it working. Now I had no idea how to do a program or set a toolpath up in actual to draw. It's one of those things. I'll show you what I've done in Aspire, Vectrix Aspire, but if anybody has any other ideas out there, please let me know, because I've no idea with this. CNC working, but when you're line drawing, it's a different ball game. I just picked my name, and all I've done is basically drawn it on some white card, set it up to I think, and lo and behold, it worked. But I'll show you what the discrepancies are that I've found, and I need to get the tolerances a lot better. But anyway, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the software program and exactly what I did in order to get this to work. Okay, so I'll take you over to the computer and I'll show you that working. Right, what we have here is, I've just done my name, what size font. My actual card is set at the exact size on my job sheet here, so the size of here, I'm not going to go through setting up a job, because if you look at the job dimensions here, it's card, so it's 390, 330 by 330, and I've done it actually 1 mil thick. It isn't, but I've done that. Just this is, as I say, this is just setting it up, so you know, it's worked, but I'm not saying it's right. There might be an even better way of doing it, I don't know, but I'm hoping somebody in the description will be able to enlighten me on this. But it's just to show it's another addition to it, and it gives me ability to do other things. Right, so we'll go over to the and what I'll show you what I've done over here. Go to toolpath, we'll close that. Lock that in place. Now what I did was I set that up as a profile toolpath, okay, so that it's highlighted, so it'll calculate it. If you don't highlight it, won't calculate it. So I've done it, I've set the job up as start depth 00, and I've done it cut depth 0.2. I can alter that on the spring loaded pen holder, so that's good for that. And the cutter that I used, well, I used an engraving cutter, and obviously the flat diameter or the point, it's really immaterial, it's just giving it something, but it's set at 0.1, so I use that. Now on the next one, the machine vectors here, you can either do outside, inside, left, outside, right, like you'd use a router really, or on the line. I've chose to do on the line, okay. I went down to the bottom and I calculated it. Now obviously because you're working in such a fine detail, when I've previewed, I'll reset the preview. The problem with it is you can zoom in on that, you can see it very, very faint, and that's because it's trying to do something that your tolerances are set really fine. Now you could probably do it on engraving, as I say, uncharted territory here. So right, we didn't need that because I was just showing you that it's actually done it. So once I've actually set this, I'll go back to the close and just show you that I've already got it set up. So on the line I've set it. Now if you're using a wide nib, you might want to do on outside of the line, or inside if you want to do a shadow line or what have you. I don't know, it's new to me this, but anyway, that's the profile I've set, okay. And then I've just gone to save it, and I save the toolpath at whatever. When you save it, it'll come up, and I've saved mine as drawing 2, okay. So it's on the PC, and I've saved it on the chip as well. So I've done that, and if you go back to that, it's pretty straightforward really. All it's going to do is outline all these. Now whether I could use it, I haven't got the setup really for a drag bit, diamond drag bit for engraving, and I presume that I'd be set something similar. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you over to the machine now, and I'm just going to load that program, show you what I've done, show you the setup, and I'll show you it running. And all I'm using for this one is the Sharpie felt tip pen. I have used my the fine felt pen, and I've used the and a pencil, so it does work, and I'll show you that now. So I'll take you over to the machine. Alright, here we are at the machine. Right, now I've taken the rotor zip, because I've taken that out, the motor, the spindle for that, and I'm actually using that blank. And as I showed you upstairs, this is the Sharpie, and this is the unit in place, and then that is the little bit of spring load. Hope you can see that. And that's a little bit of spring load. Okay, that's how it works. It's just clamped in there. And to change these, it's pretty simple. You undo that. In fact, I'll show you how to change it once I've shown you this working. Now, as you can see, I've already done this, and that's pretty good. And it were roughly set up. What I did was I zeroed the machine off, homed it. Okay. I put the actual measurement of the paper in that I wanted. All right, which is that. That's my job. Thickness is 1mm. Okay, and then what I did was once I'd homed it, I'd actually brought it over to the bottom corner here. You could start in the center if you wanted, but I choose bottom corner here. Lined everything up on the X and Y, and I zeroed the X and Y. Okay, and that's pretty simple. Just go on to your, as I say, I use nothing else but the offline controller, and I use me MPG controller to move the machine over to X and Y bottom right hand corner. Okay, now once I've done that, zero those two. Do not zero your Z yet. Okay, then what I did was I moved the X and Y over to the paper. You can see the black mark there. Okay, and then I put a fine piece of paper on the top, and then I adjusted the Z axis and the pen down. Okay, and I watched that. So when it gets a little bit of lift on that, I know there's enough pressure on. Okay, it should just lift just like that. Okay, then what I do is then leave the paper there, and then I lift, go across to my offline controller, and I zero that then. Okay, which is, go across to there, you see that, and I'll zero that. So you've zeroed your Z, you have previously zeroed your X and Y, but even though you've moved that, when you start the program running, it will go back to the original X and Y zero settings. Okay, it will go back and lift the Z-axis up, and it will go across then to where the job is on your software, how you set it up, and then it will start from there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'll just turn that MPG out of the way and put it there. I'll now go to the actual file that I've got. Okay, this should be, let's have a look, drawing 2. Okay, that's in. Once you've got drawing 2, go down to play. Okay, and then all I do is press play. Now remember me talking to you earlier about when I designed this, you don't know how the tolerances are going to be and how they're going to work. Now I can see that pen holder is moving within the actual boss itself. That's what's clamped into the actual here. That is actually slightly too big. the internal bore for the pen holder, the pen slide. Because what I'm finding is, I can see it, you might not be able to see it on here, but with a little bit of pressure that's applied, it can make the pen wobble either side or backwards and forwards. And it's doing that within the boss here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a complete new boss, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to finely tune it then by hand to actually fit inside the the pens. I use a bit of like lubricant inside, but I mean, you can see that's pretty good with the Sharpie. So it lifts between, so it doesn't draw a line from one section to another. There you are, it's finished. And it'll go back now to its origin, which is bottom left corner. Okay? So providing you don't alter that, if I were doing these different names upside this board here, this were I were doing something, I wanted to write it up, I'd alter it on the program, and then providing you don't change the X and Y, it'll always go back there. You can alter your depth, change your pens, do what you want with 0, but you don't alter your X and Y 0 position. Okay. You can alter this, because you will do for different pens, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you with a fine like marking pen. Okay, so we'll do that. Right, I've moved you over, so I'm going to show you how simple it is, why I designed it like this. As I say, I'll show you what I mean by the actual play. We can see that, but can you see that? A little bit of play in there, because the tolerances is too great, so it can actually have an effect of dragging your pen round. Okay, if you've a little bit too much pressure on, you have to have a little bit of pressure, spring pressure. Okay, so that's what I'm going to deal with. Right, these are the two, one's for a pencil, as you can see. Showed you that one upstairs, and this is for the actual Sharpie pen. Okay, and a fine nib pen. Okay, and the beauty of why I've designed it like this is you can have a pen set up different colours, and you can just actually quick change and a quick setup. So what I'll do is I'll show you how to set this up now. Simply undo that, twist it out of the way, okay, and then just move that up, pop that out, that's your Sharpie pen, put the top on that, and then I'm going to use this one. Okay, so I'll pull this off, drop that in. As you can see, there's a little bit too much play, so I am going to rectify that, and then all you do is put that down till it back down to it's touching. Okay, you don't need to do a lot with it. Move the pencil out of the way. What you do then is I get my MPG controller, and then all I do is move the Y over, move the X over, and then go to my Z and move that down. Okay, fine piece of paper there. Now if you can see that, if you watch that, just a little bit of spring load on. Okay, you can just see that, and that is just touching that. Okay, so then because you've got that set up now, then what I do is I go to my screen, my offline controller, go to my Z and zero it. Okay, and when you start the program, that will automatically lift, go to its 0 position, 0 0, and then start the program. Okay, so I'll show you that now. Pick our program up, which is drawing 3 this time. Okay, show you, I'll get that in. G code, draw 3. Okay, load that, down to play, press play. You see that lift up? Now I can see that, I don't know whether you can, because of that tolerance is a little bit too much, the pen is moving around from side to side, so your accuracy won't be as good. So, but I am going to sort that. But I know this system works, so it's just a question of getting the fine tolerances right for the actual pen holder and the main boss, housing boss. You can just see on the on some of the letters that when it closes the actual drawing, it closes slightly offset, and that's because there's too much playing in that boss. So that will be altered. I'll fine tune that. But there we go. You can see that. Okay. As you see, you can see there's a little bit too much play in that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually either do another. I'll probably do another 3 of these, or do them for pens. Once I've got the correct size, there's not a problem. But there just is too much. It works perfect for the spring tension, but there's just too much play there, and that's what it allows to happen. Is you can see the pen will wobble because of the board inside this. Okay, right, I'm back around. So I've shown you the design that I've done, and it's only a question now of fine tuning the actual pen holders. Now it's one of those things, is the program that I use all the time, but I've never done any drawing on it. So whether that's the right way I've done this, I don't know. If anybody can enlighten me on it, then please do put it in the comments. It does work, as I've shown you there. With a Sharpie it's better, because it's the longer the protrusion of the pen outside that mount, the more movement there is. So I'm going to tweak it a little bit more, but I'll keep you updated with it. But I just wanted to show you that it can be done, and that the pen holder I've designed is, I didn't want to do them where you have to set each pen up as such. You just have the pens, the different colours that you're using, and just swap them in and out. That's okay, and then just set the depth. Okay, so that's the conclusion of this. So what I'll do now is I'll take you, we'll go back up into my office, and we'll finish the video off from there. Okay, right, we're back up from workshop now. As you all saw, it worked, and it worked a treat. I did say I've got some more tolerances to actually play with. I'm going to reprint some more of these pen slider bosses. I want to get that absolutely lovely inside this plastic boss. I mean, an ideal situation would be these will be, you'd make these out of metal, but I'm no engineer, but it should be sufficient to get a reasonably decent job out of it. Did pretty good. The Sharpie was amazing, but the pen, as you could see, it moved about in the holder on the boss, as I pointed out. So I'll take these out, take the inserts. You can take the brass inserts out. You just heat them up again, put a thread in, 3mm thread, and pull it back out, and you can reuse them. So there's no problem with that. And then I'll see where I go from there. Yeah, and what I will do is, when I've printed them a new set out, it shouldn't take long. I've got them on the go already. What I'm going to do is I'll create another video and I'll show you the differences, and all being well, I'm going to do a bit of a drawing. I don't know, I'll pick a drawing or something line drawing, and I'll see what that comes out like. It'll be interesting, and there's no reason why you just don't treat, as I found out with Vectrix Sphere, that it worked to treat. It were easy to set up, and I'm just going to treat it as you would do any toolpath really, whether you're doing an inlay or engrave or what have you. I mean, obviously if there's someone out there that knows something better to use, then please do let me know. Give me a comment section, I'll try it out and then I'll do a video on it. But it worked to treat better than I expected really. I didn't expect it doing as well as what it did first time round, especially with the software. I didn't know what was going to happen, but as I explained to you, it's easy with the MPG and the offline controller. It either works or it won't work in that respect. There's no cutting off mid-flight, you know what I mean, or your PC's locked up and God, it just works every time for me. There's the offline controller. That's why I like it. As you saw on the Sphere, it did work okay with the setting the depth to 0.2 and zeroing off on the top of the card. That just gives you enough pressure when it'll plunge down the 0.2, which will give you your spring loading on the pen. So you don't want too much, because what happens is it'll wander the pen in the housing like that, so you won't get it joining up right where it closes the actual drawing or the lines. But that's it. So I will keep you informed, as this is still experimental stage, and I'll show you the drawings and I'll keep you informed all the way. But if anybody's got any comments about any other software is best to use, I mean, that worked first time, so it works. You know, if whatever clip art on there, with as long as it's vectors, it'll pick it up and it should draw it, because it lifts the pen off and it puts the pen back down, just like it would if you were using a router bit in there. It just lifts and starts again. It doesn't do a line across, which I thought, oh, this is what's going to happen, but it didn't. It shocked me really that it worked first time. So right, that's ending to this video. Like and subscribe, don't forget, notification, and comments. Please let me know what you think about drawing on this, because it's just, I've shown you other things you can use that CNC for, and drawing I can see coming off being used more than some of the others. It gives you another task that you can complete, and it just by putting different pens in, you can do different colors. You know, you can have you could do a drawing, do it black first, and then load your change your pen, then load your next toolpath, which is the same drawing but a different color, so it'd be on different toolpaths, and you can have a multicoloured drawing. There's no reason why you can't do that. But let's see how we get on with this. So, as I always say at the end of my video, please be safe and be careful out there. Till next time, bye for now. Bye.